Oh, hey, just catching up on my summer reading list. Did you have those when you were in school? Summer reading lists? They used to give us those every year. I don't think I ever read any of those books. I was too busy riding bikes and swimming and fishing and all the other things boys do during the summer. Reading did not seem like it was high on my list. Even when I did read, it was something like, something that was fun to read. It wasn't anything on their list. So I've compiled my summer reading list for learning about primitive pottery, Southwest pottery, pottery replication, these kind of things. So these are recommended books related to learning more about this subject. And I put them into categories. So I've got inspiration, I've got replicating ancient pottery, I've got some more in-depth, a little bit archaeological publications. I've got books about Ortiz, books about Pueblo pottery. So let me get right into it, okay? I'm gonna start with Ceramics for the Archaeologist by Anna O. Shepard. This is, if you're interested in replicating prehistoric pottery, and not just Southwestern, but anywhere, this is the book you have to have. Originally published in, I think, 1954, and it is still the best. She talks about clays, she talks about firing, she talks about reduction, oxidation, paints, you name it, she covers it in depth. Lots of science, lots of data in here that you can sink your teeth into. It might not be the kind of book you'll read clean through, but it's the kind of book you'll reference over and over again over the years. And the only other book in my replication stack is Messages from the High Desert by Clint Swink. And he goes into specifically reproducing Mesa Verde black on white pottery. He talks about coiling, he talks a little bit about clay, talks a lot about firing and the Anasazi trench kilns and how those are fired. He talks about corrugating. Really good book, really thick, and lots of pictures. Now this stack here is inspiration, books that can give you ideas for things you might want to make. So the first one is Recreating the Word, and this is a really excellent book because there's lots and lots of illustrations, big pictures of some really great old prehistoric pots. And so a great place to go just for inspiration, or maybe to get ideas for pots to make, or even just designs to paint. So great book. One that has been out of print for years and is really great inspiration as well is The Painted Ceramics of the Western Mound of Awatafie. Awatafie is a ruin up near Hopi. And again, lots and lots of illustrations of designs, photos of pots. So a great book for inspiration on prehistoric pottery. Mine is coming apart. I got it used. The Arizona State Museum has a really great book sale. I think they have it twice a year to raise money, and it's a great place to pick up some of these old out-of-print books, which is where I got that one. Now this is a magazine. This is the August 1989 issue of Arizona Highways, which inspired me. August of 1989, I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school. And these people, Paul and Laurel Thornburg, who make this pottery, live very near me. I grew up in Sierra Vista. They lived over in Canelo at the time, which was just the next community to the west of where I lived. And so it was because of this that I became aware of the Thornburgs' pottery. And I ended up going over there and meeting them, and they were able to help me out and taught me a lot about clay and making pottery and firing and those kind of things. So this is not the kind of book you could pick up on Amazon because it's a magazine, but these are for sale often on eBay. A subject I've covered recently is paddle and anvil pottery, which, as I said in my Tony Soares video, was practiced in the western part of the American Southwest. This is the book Tony lent me, which is called Papago Indian Pottery, another one published, I think, in the 50s, and a lot of great illustrations of how pottery was made by these people. So it's a great book to learn from. Not only good information in the words, but these pictures are invaluable. And so this is another one that's out of print, and it can be quite hard to get a hold of at a reasonable price. The best thing to do with these out-of-print books on Amazon is put them on your wish list and just go back and check every couple of months, maybe even 6 months or something, and look at them, because every once in a while they'll get a few of them in and those prices will come down to something reasonable and you can pick one up. You don't have to go out and pay $150 for an out-of-print book. You can keep it on your wish list and just check back every once in a while, because those prices on Amazon fluctuate depending on supply and demand. Another one related to paddle and anvil pottery is Dirt for Making Things, which is about Maricopa pottery. So another great book. Maybe not so a lot of good technical information, but it is very interesting. Now, related to a little maybe more in-depth archaeological studies, a little more scientific type publications, I'll recommend a couple, and there's a lot of these, and I've got a lot, and I read a lot of these, but they're not for everybody. This one, Ceramic Production in the American Southwest by Barbara Mills and Patricia Crown. This is pretty good, and this mostly deals with stuff up on the Mogollon Rim in central Arizona, the Cibola area, but really good information in here. And another one by one of those same authors is Ceramics and Ideology, Salado Polychrome Pottery by Patricia Crown. And this one not only has a lot of good information about how Salado Polychrome was made and where it was made and that sort of thing, it has a lot of great illustrations of pots, Salado Polychrome pots from that era. So not only is it interesting to read, educational, but you could spend a lot of time just looking at the illustrations in here and getting ideas for pots you might want to make. Now on the subject of Mata Ortiz pottery, I have a few books on Mata Ortiz pottery. This one is the story of Casas Grandes pottery, and this one is, I think, from the 80s. And even though it says Casas Grandes pottery, and there is some about Casas Grandes pottery, that is the prehistoric pottery from Chihuahua, most of this book is about Mata Ortiz pottery, the more modern pottery coming out of Chihuahua. But a good book. And then this one is really good, The Many Faces of Mata Ortiz. This one has a lot of really great full-color illustrations of pots, Mata Ortiz pottery. And so, very interesting book and really a good read. And then finally, if you really want to understand how that pottery phenomenon happened at Mata Ortiz, how it was that this Mexican village started making pottery based on the prehistoric pottery in the area. Very interesting story. This old Kiva publication goes into that in depth. This is fall of '94 issue. So this is one of those things, it's a periodical. So I don't know if it's going to be easy to find on Amazon. Perhaps you have to go to like eBay and find it, or I think you can buy reprints from these people. It has a lot of articles in it about the history of Mata Ortiz and how they came to do what they were doing, and also about how a little more technical information about how Mata Ortiz pottery is made. So interesting for a potter to read. Now, the last subject I have to cover is Pueblo pottery, and there's been a lot written about Pueblo pottery. Let me just start with the very best and my favorite book about Pueblo pottery, The Living Tradition of Maria Martinez. Maria Martinez is inspirational to me, not only because of the beautiful work that she did, but she wasn't afraid to share how she did things. A lot of potters don't want to tell how they make pottery because they're afraid somebody's going to steal their market or start making the same thing and they'll have to lower their prices or something like that. But Maria was not afraid to do that, and all through her career as a potter, you know, you see examples of her telling journalists about how she works, allowing people to come and make photo essays of how she works. So there's really detailed series of photos in here of how she fires pottery. This is an example of that. And there's also a series of photos of how certain forms are made and painted. Here's one that shows the slipping and polishing of pottery. And there's some about coiling. This one has to do with coiling a plate. So lots of really great information. This particular book, a lot of books about Maria, but this one you can get the most technical information about how to make that style of pottery yourself because of the way it's written, and also these series of photos that you can kind of follow. Now, just general interest books about Pueblo pottery, you know, there's a lot of them. Southwest Pottery, Anasazi to Zuni. So this one isn't Pueblo specific. This one will have information on Maricopa pottery, for example. It'll have information on Tohono O'odham pottery and other pottery in the Southwest beside their non-Pueblo groups. Also prehistoric, so Anasazi, Mogollon, Hohokam pottery are in here. And again, lots and lots of color illustrations, color photographs. So really great book. Talking with the Clay by Stephen Trimble, another very good book. This one specifically inspired me when I was younger. This is one of my early acquisitions related to Southwest pottery, and I've read it numerous times. Specifically, there's a piece in here that talks about the recreation of Pecos glazeware that has fascinated me for years, and I would love to learn more about that. There was apparently a potter from Jemez that was recreating that glazeware back in maybe the 80s when this was made. Generations in Clay, Pueblo pottery of the American Southwest. Another one that goes into not just modern Pueblo pottery, but it goes back into prehistoric Pueblo pottery as well. From This Earth, The Ancient Art of Pueblo Pottery by Stuart Peckham is another great book with lots and lots of illustrations. And again, not just modern, but also prehistoric Southwest pottery is covered in here. Lots of books there. I'm going to put links to all these down in the doobly-doo. Now, like I said, some of these books that are periodicals are hard to find on Amazon, and you may have to go to eBay. So if I put a list to an eBay item, and you go looking a month from now, it could very well be sold. And so take that just as a clue what you need to do, and then search around on eBay, and I'm sure you can find that same periodical from a different seller or something like that. All right, good reading. There's a lot of good information here for you to absorb. And I appreciate you going through my summer reading list with me. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.